Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Astrology with your friend Gretchen Heidel, full-time astrologer, life coach, Reiki master, and so much more. And I'm here live tonight on Monday. It is Monday night, April 3rd, 2023, and I am here going over the astrology of this week. We have some big things coming, including a full moon, and plus there's some other things as well. So if you are just joining me tonight, welcome, welcome. I'm going to be looking up and down because I am co-recording for my camera on YouTube. So welcome everybody who is joining live. I apologize, I'm a couple minutes late. I was trying to log on, and unfortunately, my iPad wasn't letting me start, so it kept going out. Gee, I wonder if Mercury retrograde's coming. Yes, it is. And so we are one step closer to Mercury retrograde, which is going to be starting later this month. But apparently your hostess tonight was experiencing some early Mercury retrograde type stuff. So welcome if you're just joining. Go ahead and post below your astrological sign, where you're tuning in from. I love to hear where everybody's viewing from. And also, if you're on YouTube watching the pre-recorded, welcome, and go ahead and post below. If this is your first time or if you are an established viewer, I love seeing you all here tonight. Welcome, and I thank you. And let's get started. I'm gonna jump in, giving you the preview of the week. We have a full moon this week. Full moon in Libra. That's right. It is Aries season. The sun and the moon are always opposite each other during that time, so during the full moon time. So of course the moon is in the opposite sign of Aries, which is Libra. So if anybody's Libra out there, listen up, or an Aries, listen up. But everybody is going to feel the full moon, so it kind of doesn't matter, but you'll be a ground zero, in other words, if you're an Aries or a Libra. Hello, Emily in Vermont. Welcome. Sagittarius Sun, Cancer Moon, Scorpio Rising. Hello, Andrea, Aries in Vermont. Veronica, Miami. Oh, wonderful. I bet you guys are having some wonderful weather down there. It is cool and raining now, but you know, that's what happens. That's what it takes to bring May flowers, is those April showers. So welcome everybody who is joining me tonight. Go ahead, like, share. That's what gets the algorithm rolling, and we can get more people live on the broadcast. Oh, that's a pretty name, Chavez. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Leo Sun, Scorpio Rising. Welcome. Juliet. Hello, Taurus, Libra Rising in Vermont. Welcome. So we are starting off this week with a kick, a bang, and a punch here with Mercury. Mercury today, at the day of the broadcast on April 3rd, moved into Taurus. Any Tauruses out there? I happen to know Juliet's a Taurus. We have a couple other people probably watching or joining the broadcast that are Tauruses. And so Taurus right now, Mercury went into Taurus. There's a lot of energy right now in Taurus, even though we are not yet officially in Taurus season. We have a lot of planets already starting to go in there. There's a big cluster, and I'm going to be showing you somebody's astrological birth chart during the broadcast, and I will show you where the current planets are, so stay tuned for that. We have Mercury moving into Taurus today, but we also have kind of a little bit of a nasty Mercury transit. Right after it moved into Taurus, it formed a square with Pluto. So that's a little nasty. I'm sorry to say that, but it just is. So Mercury is how we think, how we talk, how we communicate. And so definitely there was maybe something with communication that happened either today or this weekend coming into this, because remember, these things tend to be stronger as we head into it. So probably like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you might have been feeling this Mercury square Pluto in fixed signs. So Mercury now is in Taurus as of 12:22 p.m. Eastern time today, or 9:22 a.m. if you're out on the West Coast. And so Mercury is officially in Taurus. And why that's important is because Mercury is getting ready to go retrograde, and it will be retrograde in Taurus this time. So it's going to have an extended stay, very long period in Taurus. Jack Hoy, Libra, welcome. Oh, Veronica, you're Taurus. Okay, so listen up, because we got some Taurus energy going on. And so Mercury is going to stay in Taurus all the way from today, April 3rd, all the way until June 11th. in Taurus. And so wherever Taurus is in your astrological chart, meaning what house is it in, that is how it will affect you on a personal level. But even if you don't know your houses and your chart in that way, it could be that basically it's affecting your sun, like if you're a Taurus, or your moon, your rising sign, Venus, Mars, whatever. If you have any planets there, then it's going to definitely affect you, or whatever area it's in. I always call it a department, but whatever area it's in, meaning what house it's in, and that will be very important for you to know where is that Mercury and Taurus going to be affecting you. But that's basically what the deal is. Taurus is an earth sign. It's a fixed sign, and so it's square right after it went into Taurus today. It squared Pluto at 2:55 p.m. But like I said, that's the peak or the height of it. We probably were feeling this for a few days now, and that was the maximum it was going to ever get to be, was 2:55 p.m. Eastern time today. And Pluto is a Pluto is a fixed sign in Aquarius. So whenever the fixed signs, they're going to square off with each other, meaning they're not getting along. Fixed is fixed, meaning stubborn. Okay, so it's two stubborn signs getting together. So we might have encountered people who are not really willing to bend or to open their minds, or maybe maybe ourselves, maybe we are being stubborn ourselves, but it's about being like fixed in nature. That's only going to be really for another day or two. It's going to start to dissipate now that it already peaked today. But I like telling you guys and sharing with you guys what's happening, because sometimes oh, that made sense, somebody cut me off in line, or oh, that made sense, somebody communicated with me and it was a little rough, and so that's why Mercury again is communication and travel. But Mercury in the body is also hands. Okay, it's our hands, it's our arms, it's our shoulders. Okay, it's our lungs and respiratory system. So that's what Mercury rules over. And in the area of Taurus is the neck, the throat, and the lower jawline, the throat, the head, the neck, not the head itself, but the lower part of the head, I guess, if you will, the lower jawline, then the cervical spine, but also your tonsils, your thyroid, all that stuff in there. And then also your upper trapezius and all that area, that's where Mercury rules in Taurus. Okay, so that's specifically for Taurus. There's a lot of planets right now in Taurus. I mean, we got a lot of planets. We got Mercury, we got Venus, we got Uranus, we have Juno, we have the north node of the moon, and Vesta. Vesta, is in Aries. So that's what, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in Taurus right now. Even though it's not Taurus season, we're already got a lot of Taurus energy. Hey, Rita Virgo from Colorado, welcome. And by the way, if you guys are liking this broadcast, like and share and hit that little like button, because that helps the algorithm to get rolling. So what does it mean to have Mercury in Taurus? So Taurus is known for being a little bit more of a slower, methodical sign. So we just whizzed through Mercury in Aries. Mercury was only in Aries for 2 weeks since March 19th. And that was about bold expressions. Aries can be a bit bold and a bit brash sometimes, and a bit quick. Well, now we're slowing down. So if anybody has felt that, slowing down, we're still in Aries season. There's still 4 planets in Aries. Let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's still 4 planets in Aries, but we have 5 planets now in Taurus. So the planets are moving in a gigantic cluster, and I'm going to show you that in a second when I talk about this person's astrological birth chart in a moment. But basically, we have kind of some fast and some slow energy. So Aries does not want to wait. Aries is very, very impatient, and Taurus is considered to be the finisher. All right. So Tauruses are great for, you guys tend to be a little slower rolling, but you guys you have stick-to-itiveness that Aries does not have. Aries is not that sign. Taurus is a little bit more about finishing and completing and wrapping things up, and being a little bit more slower, deliberate, and thorough, especially considering that we just came out of that Mercury in Aries. So This is about slowing down our speech, slowing down our communication. You know, a lot of times with Mercury in a fast sign, like we had with Aries, it's like boop, 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 boop. With Taurus, it's like, I'll get back to you. I have to check my schedule. Like, it's a little bit more of a slower, like, let's slow it down and be thorough and deliberate. Now, we're going to have a lot of that. We're going to have a lot of this because, like I said, Mercury is getting ready to go retrograde on April 21st. That is going to happen at 4:35 a.m. Eastern time, overnight there between that Thursday and that Friday. And so early Friday morning, April 21st, Mercury is going to go retrograde, and it will be retrograde all the way until May 14th, 2023. So it takes some time, you know, it takes some time for it to go, you know, to slow down, to stop, to go, and then it goes retrograde, it goes backwards, it stops, and then it goes forward again. So it's going to take all of that time in Taurus to really like thoroughly teach us the Mercury and Taurus lesson. It's about slowing down, it's about being thorough, about thinking about things in a more stick-to-itiveness, gonna finish it sort of way. That's Taurus is nicknamed the builder. So it's like building things one block at a time. It's not a quick flash in the pan. It's about doing something more thorough. And so I like actually planets in Taurus because sometimes I feel like I'm personally in Aries, and I feel like that helps me to slow it down a little bit. Now, a lot of people get very impatient when it's Taurus season. They're like, what is going on? You know, like, I just want to go, go, go. And so with Taurus, it's about slowing it down and thinking first and you know, attending to all those details. Now, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So this is a Venus ruled Mercury. So if you think about Venus is the goddess of love and beauty. She's Aphrodite. She's, you know, so we might be wanting to talk about romance and partnership and all that. I mean, this can be a very romantic Mercury. That's the good news of this. And it's really much more sensual. It's slower. It's take your time. It's all that like kind of more just romantic sort of side to this Mercury. So you know what they say, the biggest sex organ in the body is actually in the brain. And so especially if your love language is words of affirmation, this can be right up your alley because we want to think about that Mercury and Taurus just being very slow and just like building the moment, right? And so that's very much Mercury and Taurus. So we might be thinking about design, aesthetics, you know, all sorts of things like that. That's very mercurial in with a Venus sign. Hobbies, you know, sort of beautification, you know, any kind of like style, any kind of thing like that. Now, when we're talking about Mercury, we're not only talking about speaking, but we're talking about writing too. So if you're a writer, this could be quite wonderful, especially if you write romance novels. That could be really quite some fun, wonderful sort of mercurial Venus Taurus. So yeah, so we're getting almost like a preview in some ways of Taurus season, especially with this Mercury going into Taurus. It is an earth sign. It's very earthy and grounded, much more practical. Earth signs are definitely the most practical out of all of the, you know, sort of elements. Earth is about getting it done. I always say we can't do anything really without an earth sign to help us. Earth signs, I feel like, accomplish a lot. And so this is about taking time with those steps and sort of figuring things out and the logistics and the planning. Slow planning is kind of really what this is about, this Mercury. And so you're going to notice people are going to be like, oh, I'm so like, they get so impatient. And that's kind of why, especially because there's still a big pack of energy still going on in Aries. So Aries is like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And Taurus is like, let's just take our time for a minute, you know? I'm going to share something fun with you guys. I was doing something outside today, long story, but right after 1 hour after Mercury went into the earth sign, Taurus, and of course we had that square with Pluto. I don't know how I do these things. I just really don't. But, and Mercury is the hands, right? So I'm going to show something on camera that you guys might not want to see, but if you have squeamish tummy, but I smashed my hand today. I smashed my finger with a rock. So it was like, wow, that's a literal interpretation of Mercury moving into an earth sign. I smashed my finger with a rock. So And that was right when Pluto was doing its thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. It was just like a total accident. I didn't mean for it to happen, obviously, but yeah, so that's a real kind of thing, you know. So sometimes these interpretations are literal, like it's a literal thing. So we have that going on. So if you have it, again, if you have any Taurus in your chart, in your natal birth chart, that is going to show itself in a way, you know, with this Mercury in this thinking, talking, communicating sign in the sign of Taurus, slow building, taking care of more of the details, but kind of in a relaxed, chill sort of way. I always think of Norah Jones, like the singer Norah Jones. If you guys have heard of her, you might want to Google her. But she's wonderful if you haven't heard of her. But basically, it's that slow like style that she has with singing. You know, it's just beautiful, it's sensual, and I feel like she really personifies that sort of Taurus energy. I know Jacoy said, "Ouch." Yeah, that smarted. I'll just say that it's still swollen. So hopefully we will enjoy this. I'm going to be talking a lot more about Mercury coming up in the future because, like I said, it's going to go retrograde. So we're going to be hearing more about it. So all the way until June 11th, we are going to be having Mercury in Taurus all that whole time. And so we have an extended stay with this life lesson. This is, you know, Earth School. This is what we do. And that's why, you know, we kind of think about sometimes like the planets are torturing me. They're not, you know, they're wanting us to have a lesson that's a thorough lesson. It's a thorough life lesson that's going to be in this Mercury sign. So speaking of which, I'm going to be moving into Wednesday, and that's coming up on April 5th. We do have another mercurial thing happening. All week we have Mercury's active. So now, instead of forming a square like it did today with Pluto, on Wednesday, it's going to form a sextile with Saturn. So speaking of slowing things down, Mercury is going to form a sextile in Saturn. That's April 5th, 2023 at 12:21 p.m. Eastern time is the peak or maximum. But again, it's only a couple days away, so we're feeling it right now. These planets, we will feel them for a few days before and after. So that's something to keep in mind. So Mercury is going to form a sextile with Saturn in Pisces. So any Pisces out there, if you have Pisces moon, Pisces rising, Pisces Venus, you'll be feeling this extra. And again, Taurus, you'll be feeling it too. Now this one's a little bit more, it's nicer. Saturn, it can still be a little bit of a stick in the mud, but this is a nicer transit, especially than the square with Pluto today. So this particular Mercury sextile Saturn is definitely going to be about even slowing things down more. I mean, if you think of Saturn, we call him Big Daddy Saturn, but also he's said to be really father time, you know, and Saturn wants to be slow, and Saturn loves this. I mean, I think this is right up Saturn's alleyway, you know, like thinking about goals, thinking about the future. This is Saturn, goal planning, doing something that if you want to have a stick-to-itiveness, this is actually very good for like going on a diet or, you know, starting something that you really want to stick and have permanence. This is a good Saturn thing to do on Wednesday, 12:21 p.m. Like I said, Eastern time. Earlier than that, 9:21 a.m. if you're on the West Coast. So Mercury sextile Saturn could be really good. And oh yes, Chavez said, I feel like Saturn always aids me in what I'm doing. Yeah, I do too. I actually like Saturn. Sometimes Saturn can be a real pain, you know. I mean, he's Big Daddy Saturn, and he can be a little bit of a curmudgeon sort of character, but he always wants what's best for us. He is literally said to represent the father in our astrological birth chart, and he has a fatherly, paternal sort of way. But sometimes he can correct us and say, no, don't go down there. And that's when we kind of go, Saturn, I don't like you, you know, because Saturn's kind of acting up, but actually Saturn's trying to do what's in your best interest. And sometimes we don't know that for ourselves. So whatever, sometimes things that happen during Saturn transits, it might not seem good at the time, but later on you'll find out it was actually for the saving grace, for the best. That's kind of often how Saturn works. Like I said, it's a sextile. Sextiles often present opportunity that needs some action on your part in order to follow through. But I would say Wednesday is a great day, especially if you want something to sort of stick and be more permanent and have good, this often too, Saturn's not quantity, Saturn is quality. So if you're looking to hear from, I don't know, 20 people, they're not going to hear from 20. You might hear from one or two really good, close friends, close people, close confidants, instead of having it be like a bunch of acquaintances. That's kind of how Saturn operates. It's like, or it could even be a good time to just work alone. Sometimes during Saturn transits, we can feel a little bit down, a little bit like, nobody loves me, wah, wah. But it's not like that. I mean, Saturn is there to help us and to actually be beneficial and have just a couple close friends or good clients or wonderful relatives instead of having quantity, it's quality. So that's going to happen on Wednesday. And simultaneously, at the same time on Wednesday, the sun is going to form a conjunction with Chiron. Now, you guys know, if you've been watching my broadcast, or if you're new, welcome. I appreciate you joining. The sun forming a conjunction with Chiron, I do talk about the asteroids and some of the dwarf planets and different things. And Chiron is one of those. Chiron is the wounded healer. And the sun is in Aries. Chiron is in Aries. So if you are in Aries, you'll be feeling this. But again, we all will feel it because it's going to be in everybody's chart. The sun and Chiron are going to be on top of each other. That's what a conjunction is, almost like a new moon, right? Sun and moon are on top of each other. Well, this is going to be sun and Chiron. If you are a healer or you work in the healing arts, like a doctor, an RN, a massage therapist, an acupuncturist, an herbalist, any healer out there, this could be very, very good for you. And Chiron, being the wounded healer, could bring up something we need to heal, kind of like my finger. It will present an opportunity for us to heal something. Sometimes Chiron transits can be a little bit painful or bring up a trigger, but whatever comes up for us around that time, especially if it's a deep emotional thing, this is a time where we could feel triggered, but it's meant to be brought up and to be cleared and healed. So this is something that could be very good and very positive. Aries does rule over the head, and sometimes Aries transits can produce headaches, that type of thing. So we just want to be careful of that. But actually, this could be a very, very good transit for healing. I love Archangel Raphael. I love Saint Padre Pio and a lot of other healers to call upon if you're looking to heal something in your life, either physical, emotional, spiritual, doesn't matter. This helps us. Chiron mythology said that Chiron basically could heal other people but not himself. But I know a lot of astrologers that take that literal. I do not. In fact, I see so many times people who have Chiron in their chart and they are always healing other people. In fact, I know a doctor that has that. I myself have my sun conjunct Chiron in my own natal birth chart. So I know that we heal, but what it is that we have to heal ourselves and heal others simultaneously. So if we have, in other words, let's say we have our own ailment or whatever, and then all of a sudden a person will show up with that same thing. Well, you might be able to both heal up together simultaneously. So if you're having a breakup, you could help another person going through a breakup. Or if you're dealing with, I don't know, food insecurity, you could help another person dealing with that. See, so Chiron, I actually love Chiron, and I feel like Chiron is really helpful as far as being a healer and helping us to heal something. This only happens once a year, this particular conjunction with the sun and Chiron, and it's going to be on Wednesday. The peak of it is 6 3:19 p.m. But guess what, folks? They're already together. So we're feeling it right now. And so that's going to be activated again, 3:19 p.m. if you're on the West Coast. And that's going to be a lovely, I think I just keep thinking of the color green, like with healing. I just think that could be very healing. And the interesting thing is Chiron, I feel like, is going to play a role in this full moon, because the next day on April 6th, 2023 is going to be the big full moon. And I said next day, but really it's overnight between Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday. So it's going to take place just after midnight, 12:34 a.m. Eastern time on the 6th. So it's going to be 9:34 p.m. if you're on the West Coast on Wednesday. So between Wednesday and Thursday night, this is going to be active. And so full moon time, the sun is in Aries, the moon is going to be in Libra, 16 degrees Libra. The sun's 16 degrees and the moon's going to be 16 degrees. That is the time, yes, Wendy, how are you doing? To burn your new moon manifestation list. So make yourself a note, write yourself a little reminder on your cell phone or something. If you wrote out your new moon manifestation list, this is the time to burn or destroy that list in some way. You can shred it, you can burn it, whatever, but you're releasing it to the universe to help you to obtain your goals, to thank the universe for its help and all that wonderful stuff. So the sun, like I said, is going to be in Aries conjunct Chiron. But here's the thing. Also during this full moon, almost exactly at the same time, I just said it's going to be, by the way, look at that time. It's 1:234 a.m. It's going to be 12:34 a.m. 1:234. The moon is going to oppose Chiron at 12:08 a.m. So almost simultaneously, the moon is going to oppose Chiron. So remember, the sun is conjunct Chiron, and then the moon's going to oppose the sun and is going to oppose Chiron at the same time because they're together right now. So really, the moon is opposing both of them at the same time. So Chiron is somehow got itself involved with this full moon. And so it's going to bring up something to heal. Full moons, as you know, can sometimes be a little ouchy, especially if you're a Libra, especially if you're an Aries. These two coming together, this could be quite, ouchy, as far as a full moon goes. It doesn't have to be. I'm just saying that it is a time where, and also the moon's going to oppose Jupiter later in the morning at 8:43 a.m. So we have some oppositions here because the sun, Chiron, and Jupiter, they're all in Aries. So this moon is going to be opposing all this Aries stuff. Now, what does this mean? The moon is going to be in Libra, and it actually, this whole cycle started back on September 25th of 2022 during the last new moon in Libra. Okay, so we're now finishing that cycle, and that's what a full moon is. It's finishing, ending, wrapping up, completing. Remember the analogy with a farmer? We plant the new seeds at the new moon. We check the progress during the half times. And then the full moon, we're going to harvest what we grew. So yeah, it has some ouchy elements to this particular full moon, but it still is a time to harvest. You don't want to waste your tomatoes. If they're on the vine, you might as well pick them, And so that's something that we want to keep in mind during this full moon. It's a maximum, we're peaking, it's a height of a cycle, it's an ending of a cycle, it's a culmination of energies. I always say this as an example of a full moon, but one time I won an award during a full moon. It was like I had started a new thing, and then I ended up, that was the peak, the maximum, the pinnacle of what that moon cycle was going to produce for me, and I won this award, and it was really nice. So full moons don't have to be ouchy, but remember, there's a lot of oppositions, not just the sun, but Chiron and Jupiter are opposing this particular full moon. So that's why there might be a little bit more tension. Aries is the self. Libra is partnership, getting along. It's a duet. It's getting along with somebody else. How do we share? How do we come together? And the ruler of Libra is Venus. So now we have two Venus things happening this week. Mercury went into Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. And then now we have the full moon in Libra, which is ruled also by Venus. Two signs share Venus. So basically it's something that we're talking about: balance, fairness, beauty, all those key words when we talk about Libra. It's a duet. It's a partnership. It's the time when we come together, and that might be stressed or strained potentially even with some of these oppositions going on, and this thing that's coming up that we have to heal. And Jupiter, even though Jupiter opposing this in itself is not really that big of a deal, with Jupiter, with it being a full moon, Jupiter can make things feel bigger. And so, like if it was just Jupiter opposing a regular moon, that's not a big deal. But because it's a full moon and things feel big anyway during full moons, now we're like supersizing it a little bit with this Jupiter transit. So I brought out the twins tonight to talk about stones that would be good. I'm calling them the twins. Stones that could be good, okay, for this particular full moon in Libra, and especially with this Venus energy going on. Definitely, we have amethyst, which is definitely something that we could help us to balance ourselves out. Amethyst, by the way, some of you know or don't know, I've said this before in my broadcast, is the actual official stone for AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, because it's said to be so good for depression and anxiety and feeling a little out of whack. So amethyst can really help. Also, amethyst can connect us with our crown chakras. Okay, so that is the connection to God, Buddha, Allah, our higher selves, okay, to have some wisdom. Because sometimes we get really when full moons happen, sometimes we can get very primal and very raw and very almost animalistic. Like we have these kind of just reactions that are I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm just, I have clients and friends that are oh my God, full moon time. And I've even experienced that myself, where it's just we get sometimes a little irrational with full moons. This can help to connect us to our higher wisdom, and that can be connection to that crown chakra. So amethyst is a beautiful one with this, because remember, the three planets that this particular full moon is opposing is Aries, and Aries is all about the fight and the argument. Libra's no, let's just get along. And Aries is no, I want to put up my dukes and I want to go for it. And so these two have to Aries has to learn, I always say Aries has to learn to calm down and be a little bit more Libra-like. And Libra has to sometimes stick up for itself and be a little bit more, I got to fight for this. So these two can be quite complementary if they were to come together. But sometimes they're not when they're opposing, especially since there's three planets opposing this moon in Libra. The moon is kind of like a standalone, basically, so I feel sorry for this poor full moon, but because there's three on the other end, and Aries can be quite raw, primal, guttural, a little argumentative. And so Libra wants to strive for that balance and wants to strive for that beauty. That's why rose quartz would be beautiful if you have one of these, put it in your pocket, put it in your bra, wear it as jewelry, whatever. Rose quartz can have that calming, because you want to focus on the love, not on all that fighting stuff. You want to focus on the love, because that's what this Mercury in Taurus is about, and this full moon in Libra is all about, love, and if we're out of the love, if we're not feeling the love, we're mad at our partner, we're mad at the neighbor, whoever we're mad at, we can remember that only love is real, and so sometimes when we get into that guttural primal place, That's why emergency rooms fill up. That's why literally police forces, are way, way, way more busy during full moons, because we get a little bit nutty sometimes. And so this rose quartz can help us to remember that only love is real and to focus on the love. Everybody's trying their best, and so this can help us to remind us of that. Let's see here. So Emily said, could it be good for full moon for couples? I mean, it could be. Again, it could be a peak, a max, a completion, ending. Like if you're thinking about, getting engaged or something, so, that could be the pinnacle of that time, for sure. But it could also be quarrelsome and argumentative. It depends on the players. I always tell people like me to say, is this good or bad? Good or bad? And I understand that, but it just is. It's like, here is the playing ground that we're on, and it's going to have really either some super positive effects, or it's going to have some, and it depends on what's going on in your life. Like, let's say you go into this full moon and you're already bickering. Like the bickering started last week and you and your partner are pick. Well, you might get into this full moon and have a major blowout because you're already going into that in that way. But if you're, just, I don't know, like really enjoying your partner, everything's going well, and, you're going out to dinner, it could be totally fine. And it could be a beautiful peaking of that love expression with each other. So it depends on what the baseline vibrational energy is already, that it kind of, in other words, it's not neutral, but it's like pushing us to kind of go in sort of some sort of a direction. If that helps, I hope that helps, Emily, and makes sense. Wendy said, will our emotions be out of whack? Yeah, very much. Because if you think about Libra is the scales, it's balance, okay? Balance, fairness, beauty, like, and if you think of the scales, Our Lady justice system is Libra. And so that is basically what Libra is about. So if you do have a law or legal thing kind of coming up, that could also be something that's kind of brewing, or, could peak out at that time, or, maybe even have positive results. Speaking of which, I thought you guys, because I like to do show and tell. I thought I would pull up a chart because I like to show real life, like how is this energy working? And so the Libra that I was thinking of, and that has been all over the news right now and is having a famous court case, speaking of Libra, is Gwyneth Paltrow. And so I thought I would pull up her astrological chart. She is a AA rating time of birth. So I'm pretty certain that this is her birth chart, because she's we think we have her accurate birth time. But if you look here, holy Lord, she is a mega Libra. Some of that is a little bit in Virgo, but man, she has got a ton of Libra in her chart. And so, so I wanted to show you guys, this is her natal birth chart. But this is the big, gigantic, and I'm trying to move it closer for YouTube, big, gigantic cluster that's going on right now. Here's Aries, and here is Taurus. So remember what I was saying, everybody has this, by the way, every single one of us. We all have this cluster right now. This is the current transiting planets. If you have a baby born this week, that baby's going to have these transits in their astrological birth chart natally. But look at all this opposing her Libra. This is all opposing her Libra. But it's good stuff that's opposing her Libra. So it's the Sun, it's Chiron, it's Jupiter, it's Vesta, and at the time it was Mercury. So there were 5 planets in Aries opposing her natal Libra stuff. Well, those are actually pretty good planets. I mean, like I just said, Chiron's not necessarily a nasty person here. Neither is Jupiter. Jupiter just makes everything bigger, but it can be good luck, good fortune, and optimism. And it seems that it worked in Miss Gwyneth Paltrow's favor, because all this stuff, and it was in the area of money. It was interesting. She won her $1 court case. She countersued for $1. I think just to prove a point, I don't know, but she won, and that happened in her second and eighth houses, which are the money houses. Second house is money, and also for the transiting planets here are like first house is like how she appears outwardly to people. Second house, and she was all over the news every single day. Second house is money, so she did win her court case, and it was victorious. So she's all over the news right now, and I wanted to show you guys, like in real life, how this can happen. The other thing is, I would have predicted if she came to me and said, "Hey, Gretchen," by the way, Gwyneth, if you are looking for an astrologer, you can call me. But if she said to me, "Hey, I need your help," I would told her that she was going to win, because her natal Chiron is sitting on her natal Chiron. Look at that. So she's healing up something right now that might have even been this court case that she was dealing with, might have been even a past life that this guy and her like kind of had a tango together, because she's in her 50s when we have our Chiron return. So Chiron is on Chiron. She's healing something. The sun is right there. Jupiter's right there, helping things to be good luck, good fortune, optimism, and that worked in her favor. So I wanted you guys to see basically what the deal is. So this whole cluster basically is going to be involved with this full moon. So there's a lot of energy. It's not necessarily horrible energy. Of course, not everybody's going to experience it the same way, because it depends on what's going on in your chart. But it's something that it has the potential, because of opposition, to spin out of control. But I think Gwyneth played it well. I think she played it well, especially since Saturn has been in her second house of a 12th house of things that the last couple years for her have been hard. She's had Saturn in her 12th house for the last 2.5 years. And that basically means that her public persona has taken a hit here, because that's not a good area. So I'm not here to do a reading for Gwyneth, but I just wanted to show you guys how that affected her, because she's somebody that's caught up in the middle of this full moon. And this will be an ending, a wrapping up for her, a completion this week, because of this full moon being in Libra. She's got a full moon in Libra in her 7th house of marriage and partnerships, but also it's opposing all this stuff down here with the court case and with the money and all the stuff that's going on. Also, this person could have been trying to use her for money. So because look at all that. I mean, that's her second house of money, her personal assets, finances, resources, and somebody was trying to, I think, take some money there. So anyway, I wanted you guys to see that and to bring her chart today, because I felt like she's super personified a lot of the energies that are going on right now. And also for you to see that that's going on in your chart too. That's in your personal chart. This cluster, wherever Aries and Taurus is in your personal chart, it's taking up possibly 1 to 2 houses there. You saw that big, grouping of planets. I call it a cluster, but that big grouping, they're in your chart. So wherever Aries is in your chart, or Taurus, that's where you'll be feeling that on a personal level. And I wanted to show you a real life demonstration. That's where Gwyneth is experiencing it. And it wasn't bad for her. It worked out for her quite well. And so, because some of these players are actually like nice. I mean, other than Uranus, which is in Taurus, but that's been in Taurus for a long time, a few years now. So other than Uranus, that's probably the most difficult. Chiron can sometimes, because like I said, Chiron can bring up something that needs to be healed. Like, it probably wasn't fun for her to go to court. I mean, she had to heal that thing, whatever that was that came up for her. It probably was not fun, but she did it and did it well. So I hope that helps. I hope you guys like that. I don't know. I think it's interesting to see, and we are a visual people, and I can describe these energies, but sometimes just seeing like how many planets are all in that big cluster like that we can really get an idea of like, okay, this is fully loaded here. This is serious, this particular time. So this full moon, like I said, has a lot of good things to it. Actually, it could be good. I'm not saying it's doomed, but we also have this Aries, sort of flair to it. So that can bring up arguments, and that can bring up, you know, some kind of something. So we want to try to remain conscious, especially with our amethyst sort of energy, that we could remain you know, conscious much more in our higher consciousness and our higher spiritual self. So that's taking place, like I said, the full moon. And by the way, the full moon, the archangel that's associated with this full moon is Archangel Jophiel. And so Jophiel is very apt, very fitting, because she or he, they are the archangel that rules over art and love and beauty and harmony. So if you are having a problem with your you know, relationship for some reason, if you're having some kind of a thing, Archangel Jophiel can really help with that. She can help with, you know, I say she, but it's a they them situation. And so I think it's pretty cool. Now, speaking of Venus, on Friday, April 7th, right, the day after the full moon, we have Venus forming a sextile with Neptune. Venus forming this beautiful sextile with Neptune is a really good thing. Neptune is currently in Pisces and Venus is currently in Taurus. Pisces is water, Taurus is earth, so earth needs water. This is a really harmonious, beautiful thing. That's going to happen on Friday at 1:58 p.m. Eastern time in the middle of the afternoon there. And so, oh my gosh, that is a very romantic, you know, when you think of Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, and you think of Neptune, which is the fantasy, the dream, the imagination. Oh my goodness. So, but those two, when they get together, it's like game on. Candles and whatever, like, you know, all the accoutrements of romance. Now, if you're not with somebody, if you're single and you're looking, you do have to be a little careful with Neptune, because sometimes Neptune can be deception, but this is a sextile, which is positive. Again, you know, something that is an opportunity that we need to kind of, you know, act on. So this is a wonderful night, by the way, Friday night, to hear music and to, you know, go to an art show or have an art gallery opening, some kind of thing like that. I think that would be fun. And the next day on the 8th, Mercury is going to form a sextile with Mars. And even though it's Mars, that could be very good too. Sextiles, remember, are just pleasant, mild, and just like all green lights on the way to work and everything kind of where you get in the shortest line when you're at the grocery store. It's like sextiles just help things to work out. It's not like big, huge, major thing. It's usually like just like it just works out and it's lovely and fine. And so that's a wonderful thing. So Mercury in Taurus is going to form a sextile with Mars in Cancer on Saturday, overnight between Friday and Saturday, and that's gonna be 2:29 a.m. Eastern time, so overnight. That'll happen, and that'll be really lovely. I think that's gonna be really a lovely thing. So Friday and Saturday, if there is any tension from that full moon, Friday and Saturday possibly could make up for it for sure. And there is even a beautiful other transit on Saturday. It's not a major one, but it's Venus is going to form a trine with Ceres, the great mother. Okay, so Venus and Ceres coming together, that can just be lovely, wonderful, nurturing and caretaking, and or even like nurturing yourself, you know, kind of giving yourself a bubble bath or reading a good book or watching something lovely on Netflix. Like it's like gentle, loving energy. That's what that is. So even if there's ruffle of feathers and there's all this stuff and something needs to be healed and all that kind of stuff coming up around this full moon Chiron stuff, it could smooth out. It could be nice. Now, on Sunday is Easter Sunday, the 9th, and I'm only going to talk about that in an astrology sort of way. Oh, cool. Kelly said she's celebrating a friend's 50th birthday on Saturday with a comedy show. See, yeah, that would be really good. With Mercury, you know, you kind of want something kind of lively and fun. I think that would be wonderful. I'm going to talk about Easter, not in a Catholic sort of way, but in an astrology way, because I always say this every year. And if you guys have heard this before in my broadcast, basically, Easter, a lot of people say, I don't believe in astrology, I don't follow astrology. Well, guess what? You kind of do, because Easter always takes place on the full moon that is after the spring equinox. So you know how Easter kind of, it's all over the place and you're not like, when is Easter this year? We're not sure, we don't know. That's because Easter takes place. So you have to find, where's the spring equinox. So that would be the last full moon that was the spring equinox, and then we go to the full moon. So the last spring equinox was on the 20th. Okay, no full moons until this week, right? We have the full moon. Where is it? The next page. I'm doing it backwards. I'm on camera. Here's the full moon. So when's Easter? The next Sunday. So that's basically what happens. So it's like a trail. So spring equinox, full moon, and then it's whatever that next Sunday is after that full moon. That's how you find Easter. So that means that this Sunday on the 9th is Easter. So I always like to tell you guys that, because I feel like we get disconnected from the ancient arts sometimes in our modern day. And there's so many people walking around this planet that don't realize that we still use these markers and these different things to determine holidays and different astronomical things, like when the sun goes into Cancer and we celebrate, yay, it's summer. Well, that's because the sun went into Cancer, and so that's something that we celebrate, and I think it's pretty fun. So we had a lot of energy this week, but it's not entirely, I'm not like, oh God, this week is crazy, except for today with the Pluto thing. This week is actually pretty good. And I think if we make the best of it and we go into it with this positive energy, we're learning lessons about love. We're learning how to communicate in a more like stronger, grounded sort of way. We're getting out of that edgy Aries time, though there's still, as you saw, a lot of planets in Aries. But we're getting more into that slower Taurus time, which I think is really good and positive. So I am ready to take any questions. If any viewers have any questions, or if you wanted to ask anything. If not, I'm just going to do the card for the week and let you guys go to your evening. So does anybody have any questions for me tonight? Definitely write it in the comments. And if not, I'm going to pull a card. I'm going to use my Saints and Angels deck this week from Doreen Virtue. Unfortunately, a lot of these decks from Doreen Virtue are no longer available because she just she just went away from, she said she denounced her New Age background, which is kind of sad. I loved her cards. And I use them all the time. Hi, Kate. Great information. Thank you. You're welcome. If you're finding this to be good, go ahead over to my YouTube channel and subscribe, because I'm going to be posting videos there, as well as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. I love it. But yeah, definitely YouTube, because I am trying to build this year to my 2023 is to get my 1,000 subscribers, and so that you guys can help me with that. All right, what do we need to know this week for this full moon, with this conjunction with the sun and Chiron, with Mercury going into Taurus? What do we need to know for this particular week? What's the most important thing? Okay. We're going to be learning a lot this week. Learning experience, guardian angel card. Okay. She has a beautiful dove in her hands, and obviously beautiful angel wings. Learning experience means that, there might be something here that we could learn from. When I was talking about that Chiron, transit happening with the sun and Chiron opposing, the full moon, it might bring up something that it's like I said, sometimes triggers come up and we curse the trigger. I hate you, trigger, but it's something we need to learn to work through, to have compassion. That's one big thing I think, is that we're so hard on ourselves sometimes, like having compassion for ourselves, for others, having, forgiveness or whatever it is. But sometimes, like, we have errors, we have things that happen in our lives. But actually we're learning from it. And, you know, sometimes we learn the most valuable life lessons through some things that are pretty hard. And so that's what it's saying here, is that we might have a learning experience that comes up, but it's here to be healed, to be loved, to be released. See how she's like releasing this dove? She's letting the dove go in her hands here. Some of you might be able to see there on the camera. She's just letting it go. It's kind of like we're burning our new moon manifestation list. We're letting that go. We're releasing it, and allowing that to no need to hold on to grudges or like, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's a good thing to learn to let go of these things. Let go and let love, you know. Let love in. Oh, Andrea, I think your doggy's going to be fine. I'm going to pull a quick card. A couple people here ask questions. I usually only answer questions that I'm guided to answer by spirit, but I do feel that your dog is going to be okay. Let me just, what does she need to know about this? Star of Magi. I can't get a better card, really. In the long run, everything's going to work out. Now, on the short run, you know, you might have to do some calling around and get a friend, phone a friend. Do you remember that old, I can't even remember that old game show, phone a friend, you know. You might have to do something like that in the short term, but in the long term, it's saying that actually you and your dog could even be better off. Okay. That means that's going to work out. So I hope that helps. She said, thank you from Barney. We'll send Barney lots of love and light, lots of love and light. And Kelly, any luck with your daughter's college financial aid? I remember we did cards on this before, and it looked good, looked really good. I'm just going to pull another one, but I remember it looked good. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we got this the last week. So with Magician, Magician says you have everything you need. Now, I am going to say this. Two cards came out together, and whenever that happens, it means you need to hear both cards. This is the card of moving. Okay, I know you didn't ask about moving, but this is moving, changing locations, changing jobs, changing financial departments, whatever that is. Like, you could be moving on from one to another, I don't know, but or she could just be moving. Maybe part of the financial aid is her housing, like if that's going to be covered by that. But whatever it is, it's came out with Magician, which means you have everything you need. You have it, either way, it's going to work out. And it's a really, that's one of my favorite cards of the deck, because it's a self-empowering card. It's like, you got this, you got this. Like, it's like, you can do this, you got this. I think Magician is like the world's best cheerleader. It's like, you go, you know, you go, girl. So it means that you have this, that it'll work out, and that, you know, you got all the tools, the resources, everything you need. You just need to make the calls or fill out the applications or whatever it is that you need to do for your daughter. Oh, okay, Kelly. She said your daughter's going to move 3 hours away. Yeah. So that moving card means, you know, there's going to be stuff with that, like packing and, you know, how do we get everything to fit in the car, or like whatever, you know, and that's what that moving card is. But you got good cards. I think that seems good. So I hope that helps everybody. So happy full moon. This is the time to, you know, burn our list and release and let go. The period of the time between the full moon and the new moon is about releasing, letting go. The next new moon is going to take place on April 20th. But like I said, that's going to be a solar eclipse. That's the first eclipse of the year. So that could be a little dicey with that. So yeah. So I hope that helps everybody. Again, if you could, and you wouldn't mind, go to my YouTube channel and make sure you subscribe. And I love that you guys joined me. I'm always sending you lots of good love and light and blessings, and I try my best. I hope I can help people. And yeah, so and if you celebrate it, yes, happy Easter. Thank you. Lots of love and light and blessings. All right, good night.